Hello and welcome to episode 55 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all of the things Nintendo. My name is Kevin, and with me this week is Harrison. How you
Man,
doing,
that
Harrison?
I'm doing well. I'm back. I missed last week, and I'm happy to be here. And that's it, listeners. It's just the two of us this week.
Yes, just the two of us playing Nintendo. Not in the sky. We're not
If
there
we
yet.
try,
Yeah. so yeah, I like that you brought the small talk back in the notes here. I think it's a good idea because we haven't touched base in a while with what we've been playing. So what is it you've been up to in the Nintendo verse?
not much of anything this past week because of my condition. I also been preoccupied with a couple of other games as well, but. Uh, was in a lot of pain this past week, and I'm finally getting back to. So I'll say I'm going to finish Wind Waker this week. I'm going to
Okay,
finish it. I'm going to finish Wind Waker so I can move on.
are you
And
playing the original cut as they say, like the non HD version?
okay, I don't want. I don't want to get into too much of how I'm playing, but I'm playing the Wii U version,
Okay, well
and
that's the
and
better version in my
I mean,
opinion. But yeah.
yeah, and I mean, it's just gorgeous as I've said. Like
Mhm.
I've been watching Let's Plays of the GameCube version. That looks good too. But
You know, it's funny you bring up Wind Waker. I was randomly thinking about Wind Waker on my drive to work this morning. I'm not sure why, but one thing I thought about was there's something that game did that I don't think many other Zeldas since have tried is it really had this like it really zeroed in on a specific culture to kind of theme itself around. It's got that very Celtic feel to it, especially with the music. And
yeah,
I don't think any Zelda has been themed quite like that since. You know what I'm saying? Like they haven't done like um a more Hispanic themed Zelda or something. Or like that is just a random one I picked or like a French Zelda. I don't know, but I think you get what I'm saying.
yeah, I totally get that. It's got a whole different vibe, and I forget if I talked about it 2 weeks ago, but the
They've done like
identity.
little sections of like Breath of the Wild have different influences, but
Yeah.
never like a whole game like that was.
Oh, I'm completely convinced now. Like playing, like being a huge Breath of the Wild fan and going back to play Wind Waker, like they took so much from Wind Waker and just put it into Breath of the Wild. Like it seems like
Yep.
they took like everything that works in Wind Waker and then put it in Breath of the Wild and then put it in an open world and like and made it like and made it like what am I trying to say? They made it a whole different game and took all the good stuff out of it.
Yeah, they made it less that they basically found a way to disguise it from all the people who are like, "Oh, Wind Waker looks like a kid's game. I don't like that." They found a way to kind of disguise it around that, but still use all the good elements.
Yeah, because like there's so many parts of Wind Waker, and of course it's an easier game. That when I'm playing it, where I'm like, oh yeah, like I know what to do here because I've played Breath of the Wild mainly,
Hmm.
and but it also has that like good feeling too of when you do figure something out or when you do advance an area. You still get that feeling of like, oh yeah, like I am smart, like I can do this. But yeah, the whole identity of this game, I've been thinking about a lot, and I don't know if it's because like you can put in your own name. I think I brought this
Hmm.
up 2 weeks ago, but anyways, but like because I put in like my game name that I was put in. So when I play it, it almost feels like I'm playing a Zelda game in like Zelda's dream or something, or like a different dimension, or like it almost feels like I'm playing a game that was like 100% inspired by Zelda, but in this other kind of universe. I know it fits in with the timeline, perhaps, and I know timeline doesn't really matter too much. But
Mm.
yeah, I've just been thinking about it when I've been playing because it feels like I look like Link, but I almost feel like I'm a different person when I'm playing it. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
I'm
it's
like I'm
Toon
not.
Link.
Yeah,
That's how they differentiate him.
yeah, yeah. I'm basically trying to just to talk it through here, and then after this week, do I move on to Twilight Princess, or do I? I'm basically just playing whatever Zelda game I want, just as long as it's a Zelda game. Um,
Yeah, I mean they're all good, at least in my opinion. You know, some of them a little more dated than others, like the original two NES games. But uh, in my opinion, they're all worth playing.
yeah, yeah. That's why I'm going out of order because if I try to go in order, I'm just gonna get burnt out. I just know it. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, like I put on our notes like looking ahead. I mean, it looks lighter than ever on the eShop, which is not surprising, and yeah, just small news like MLB The Show is going to be releasing on Switch, and that studio announced last year that they would not be releasing on Switch, and now they are. My speculation is that the player base for I'll call it previous gen, like Switch, Xbox One, PS4, it's just too big right now. Um, Not enough people have switched over. But if I wanted to speculate more, perhaps they were thinking that there would be a new Switch system at this point. So I'll be looking ahead to that. What are you playing?
I'm still playing Tears of the Kingdom on my second playthrough. I played a lot of the Spotlight game this week, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And I did just come into possession of, I don't know if you've seen these devices, the RG405V.
Mhm.
It's like a device for playing ROMs. It looks like a Game Boy, but it's bigger.
Yeah, yeah,
That's my best way to describe it. And it's got like trigger buttons and stuff. They're really, really cool. And so I'm probably going to be playing a lot of that lately. I want to play the original Luigi's Mansion um, without having to pay crazy collector prices for it. And if Nintendo ever re-releases it, I will buy it from them too. But come on, they're doing nothing with it, so I'm going to find other ways to play it.
yeah.
Uh,
And you've bought it in the past. Like
yeah.
you do own. Yeah, exactly.
Exactement. So yeah, and I want to get back into the WarioWare games, not WarioWare, Wario Land games, which I haven't played in a while. So now that they're all nice and portable, that's something I'm going to be diving into. I probably feel now how you felt when you got your Steam Deck.
Yo, yeah. It's always exciting to get a new system, and no matter where you are if with emulation, whether you're new to it or you're like me and you do it a little bit, it's better than ever. Like it's better than ever to get into it. And Ambernick, is that how you say the name Ambernick?
I think so.
The company
That's
that
how I
makes your
pronounce it.
device. Company makes your device. They make a lot of really cool like and they're coming out with one every like few months, which is like understandable.
They
um
look nice too. Like I almost want to buy them just if I won the lottery and had just like the infinite money glitch on my life. Like I would collect these just cuz they look so cool. Like I chose to get the one that looked like the clear purple Game Boy from back in the day,
right.
but they have one that's like it looks like wood grain that looks really
Mhm.
cool. They have one that looks like the original Game Boy with the gray. Um yeah, they look gorgeous, and they also have other ones that go like horizontal, like a Nintendo Switch. But I preferred this style.
I mean that's I mean you bring up what I would say. I would imagine the majority of people who have those devices do. Like I think the majority of people that have them will collect them, will put games on them, will collect games, and will never play most of those games. Um, but that's part of the process. That's part of the fun for them. We're not getting into any of the morality of it. You know,
Yeah.
of if you owned, like, if I owned this NES game, 30 years ago, am I allowed to emulate it today? Even though I bought it secondhand. Like, it just,
Well,
anyways.
not even talking about the legalities of it. This is how I've always felt about emulation to me is if a game is available to buy, you should pay for it. The thing is there's thousands and thousands of games out there right now that are just not available. They're not, unless, like I said, you want to pay crazy collector prices and buy a cartridge for like 70, 80, $100. Um, so yeah, if a game is available through the publisher, like they're still selling it out there, I kind of frown upon people who pirate that type of thing. Like if you're pirating Tears of the Kingdom or some sort of new game, I'm kind of like, you should support them with money. um, but if it's something that's impossible to support with money now, I'm like, in my opinion, that's morally okay. Like, go for it. Nobody else is going to get money from you buying it on eBay anyway.
Yeah, and I would hope that, like, I don't know, like, I can never put myself in the perspective of a game developer, but if I would hope that if I made something and I could no longer monetize it, I I would hope accessing it for having access to it would be something that I would appreciate. I guess is how
Yeah,
I'll say it.
especially since a lot of those games will never be made available just because like the publishers don't exist anymore, or there's like different music licensing rights or things.
Yeah, yeah, or there's like plenty of I'm a big fan of Bob Wolf of like Wolfden. He talks about how, like, he's a huge retro gamer. Like, he mainly plays retro games, and there's some that he can't access without emulation.
Yep.
And yeah, it's like if you're playing if you want to play like an old imported Genesis game, yeah, no one's making money off of that. So anyways, that's super cool. I think the see through purple one. I mean, that was the color of my Game Boy Color. So in my opinion, that's the coolest one. And your Amber Nick, does it have four uh, rear buttons or
Yeah, the
two?
R it's got an
Or
R1, R2, L1, L2.
super cool. It's always nice just to have those extra options, and where you can mod them. Yeah, like, you can add
Yep.
different cues. You can add turbo buttons. You can add quick saves. So yeah, those are super cool. You'll have a lot of fun with that.
So let's dive on into news, I guess. There's not a whole lot of news this week. The one thing that I did want to talk about is they put out kind of a couple of new trailers for this game since the last time we mentioned it. The new Princess Peach Showtime details that came out. Did you have a chance to look into these?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, there were some new transformations revealed. There was a what is it? There's a figure skater Peach, a thief Peach, a mermaid Peach, and Mighty Peach, which is like looks like she's some kind of like armored up superhero. I don't know. Um, I'm starting to feel like this game might be a beat 'em up. You know what I mean? Like in the definition of a beat 'em up, like you might just like select your stage and you go through and you beat up the enemies until you make it to the end point, maybe fight a boss or something, and then go to the next stage.
I don't know. I have no idea. My okay.
So,
My prediction. I think it's not going to be. I don't think it's one genre.
That's probably true. That's a
Yeah,
good that's a good point.
but I have no idea. Like the more I read about it, the more questions I have. But the better it's looking to me. So
I
there's that.
agree. Like I'm getting to the point where I'm like the only thing that would like it looks really good. The only thing I'm waiting on is I need to know like the difficulty level because I've been burned by Kirby games in the past, and I don't want something that has non-existent difficulty. I need just like one notch above that at least. Give me let there be a chance I'll get a game over. You know what I mean? Um, but other than that, like if the reviews say that it's not as easy as a Kirby game, I think I'm all for it.
I I wonder. So I want I wonder if this is going to be like on the difficulty level of like they released that Disney Illusion Island, which I think was more of a Metroidvania style game,
Hmm.
but which it looked beautiful in my opinion, but was also like just way too easy. Um, I wonder if it's going to be like that because it's sure like it looks really nice. It sounds really nice. It's definitely cute. Like you know, I just yeah, I'm very confused on what it actually is, unless it's just like unless you're just pulling because okay, so I think we should probably go back just a little bit for the listeners. The so as you said, the new trailer has four new transformations.
So we've seen
And
10 total so far now.
we've seen 10 total, which were all shown at the end of the new trailer. So I think it's safe to say like that we could get 10 and possibly like 11, 12 maybe. If
I
there's like
wonder
a
if there'll be like DLC for others, or I mean, it's funny because it's like we know so little about the game, you can't even speculate stuff like that. You know, like maybe they'll put some DLC abilities in there. Maybe there'll be some. I would like to see some unlockable transformations because that would be a nice throwback to classic games
I
back in the day when you can unlock a special like Super Ninja Peach since we already have Ninja Peach, something
I
like
could
that.
I could see a round number, like right now we have 10, so perhaps it's that, but perhaps like it comes out and there is 12, and there was two that, and there was
Or
like two
15.
extra, yeah, like there was just some that weren't announced that we didn't know about, or that we find out even on the first day, you know. But 10 is if it's 10, it, it's a lot. I mean, this is a
I mean,
lot.
how many transformations did Kirby have in that Kirby 64 when we reviewed it, where you could like combine the two powers? He had more than 10.
Right. It just it's a lot more than I thought, and if it could be it's 10. Okay, so it's 10 or more. Smash Brothers is about to go crazy on this stuff. I mean, like whenever the next one,
The
whenever
next the next Smash game is just Peach characters.
whenever 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 the next one comes out, yeah. But like from like just from like it was a short minute long trailer, but for example, Mighty Peach had a vertical 2D flying section, which reminded me a lot of like the flying sections in Cuphead. So
Hmm.
so there's like that sort of gameplay. In the Dashing Thief Peach, they have the grappling hooks, which look really cool. But at
Well,
one
Mighty
point,
Peach also has this like her hand is like a satellite dish shooting electricity thing going on. It's almost like
right?
a not not Mega Man because he shoots lemons, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, there's a
Maybe
lot of
Samus.
yeah, yeah, maybe Samus. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a huge use of light, which we see with Figure Skate Peach. So
Hmm.
like I see, like, of course, there's a big emphasis on music, Peach Showtime, but also with light and different light patterns as well.
Well, one thing I do want to say about this game is like, I have no idea what it is, but every single time Nintendo has previewed a game relentlessly where I'm like, I have no idea what that is, it turns out amazing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, this is not the first time Nintendo has given us a trailer for a game that left us scratching our heads saying, what the heck is this thing? And then usually when those games came out, they are game changers. They're like, oh, whoa, I hope we get more games like this. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be taking people by surprise. And I don't know.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and then I think with like the Dash and Thief Peach, we get a possible look at some like 2.5D platforming,
Uh huh.
like they have like the grappling hook, and at one point she's on a building, and the building shifts, like it shifts the perspective to the other side of it. So yeah, just I have more, but anyways, I think
I
like
want to know
it's
why
gonna
it's called Patissieri Peach and not like Chef
Baker.
Peach. Chef Peach sounds so much better, or Baker. That one works too. Um, but yeah, nobody knows what Patissieri is. Nobody's ever heard that word before.
It
That's
sounds
such a
like you
weird.
do.
That's a choice that they made. You know?
You're saying it really well. It sounds like you've heard it before.
Oh nope.
I mean, I have no idea if you're saying it well or not. But get listeners get at us if we are.
we've
Uh,
we've also
yeah,
got underwater segments with Mermaid Peach, which Mario games always ace the underwater levels. So, oh, now that I think of it, there's not many underwater levels for Yoshi games because now I'm starting to think of like spin-off of Mario, which is what this
yeah,
is.
yeah,
There's not a
yeah.
lot of underwater Yoshi, not a lot of underwater in the Toad Treasure Hunter. Um,
Does
what are
Yoshi
some other Mario
swim?
spin-offs? You don't go underwater in Luigi's Mansion. What was that?
Does Yoshi swim? He's kind of his arms are a little
Yeah.
bit his arms are a little bit short. But yeah, and who knows? Like we could get like Snowman Peach. Get some
Oh,
get
Sean
an
knows I
ice
love my
level.
snow levels, so give me that.
Yeah,
Give me something in the snow.
yeah.
Well, I guess
Uh,
figure skating Peach will be their ice stage, but
oh yeah. There we go. Yeah,
we'll
yes. You
see.
see, I'm already forgetting them. Are there any transformation? Are there any transformations that stand out to you? I said Dashing Thief Peach is pretty much just Carmen San Diego.
Detective Peach, to me, I'm wondering if that's going to be like a segment where where you have to like find, tracks up, because the whole game is obviously themed like a play. And I'm wondering if Detective Peach is they're gonna like give you things to like find around the set. Like you're gonna have to, I don't know, find three hearts and like you gotta open up all the drawers and look under the table and eventually you'll find them. Something like that. I don't know. I wonder if that's gonna be like a not hide and seek, but what's the term? Like, I don't know. That type of mini game where you
Well,
where you're just like hunting things.
I think you're right. I think you're right
Yeah.
because with the Dashing Thief Peach, we see a part where she's like putting in something like as if she's like hacking a computer.
Yep.
And then it looks like she's like stealing something. She's the thief, but perhaps stealing back or stealing for the good people. So that part to me almost looked like a Luigi's Mansion type thing where you're like manipulating something in order to blow up this part of the building and to let these people free. I don't know, but I don't
So yeah,
know.
to answer your question, Detective Peach stood out to me, and Cowgirl Peach stood out to me because it's like it's almost you know what they're kind of missing with Cowgirl Peach because it's so stereotypical and so like well you got to have the cowboy one is I'm surprised there's no astronaut Peach. I guess the the Mighty Peach kind of looks sci-fi, so that's what they're going for. But I'm talking more like the almost like Sandy from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Mhm.
Like,
Sure,
like I'm surprised it's not like one of those bubble dome, like astronaut Peach things.
sure. Sure. Yeah. Mighty Peach, like a lot of these, like they all make sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Of course we're getting a mermaid. Of course, getting like a superhero. And yeah, and like I said, perhaps we get DLC. Like maybe there's ones we haven't learned about yet.
You know what I'm surprised I haven't seen any comparisons to in any of the comment sections, especially considering, you know, the uh the current buzz that this movie has had, and by current I mean last year. But I'm not seeing a lot of Barbie comparison. And this is very Barbie to have her do all these different jobs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know much about Barbie, but I did have two sisters, and to me, it seemed like what they were always doing with her. It's like, here's astronaut Barbie, here's mermaid Barbie, here's ninja Barbie. Like, so kind of seems like the same type of thing.
Yeah, it's coming. It's
Okay.
coming. Yeah. No. But I mean, that's just me being me. Like that's just me being negative because like it's just anytime they like release like any movie or game or TV show or anything that's different or anything that has like a girl in it, it's like it's just
Yep.
like it's just that thing. So I'm sure it will get the Barbie comparisons because I know there's been award shows and everything, but we can't stop talking about that movie.
Yep. I haven't seen it yet. I plan to. It's on streaming now. I can't. Another thing about that's weird about this game though is the $60 price tag, and I don't talk. I'm the type that does not talk about price tag often, but it's gonna have to be worth that $60 price tag. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be $60 price tag for me, but let's see, it comes out in March, perhaps by like the summertime it's on sale. Or I don't know, like by the time
Or
this game comes.
it's going to be included in the I forget what they call those tickets where like you basically get two games for $100. It's going to be included in that deal, so I might do that.
Yeah, or who knows? Like it could be like a Nintendo Select, and I mean, this game comes out in almost a month from when we're recording this, and
Vouchers. That's what I'm talking about. If any
yeah,
of the listeners out there don't know, if you subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online, you're eligible for vouchers. And a voucher is basically you give them $100 and they let you pick two games off the list, and you save money because some of them are $70 games.
yeah, exactly. I I I I lost what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. It is 8 a.m. where I live, and they're playing the anthem behind me. So
Oh, I
I
don't
got
hear it.
this. I got distracted. I think for me, this is a $40 game.
Mhm.
And I think it'll be on sale at some point. I mean, by the time this game comes out, we could know of a new Switch system. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
speaking of a new Switch system, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about this week. They just will not stop printing new Switch 2 rumors, which is at this point they're recycling old rumors, but it's still fun to talk about. So the one that they're focused on this week is we got more rumors about the next Nintendo system, currently being commonly referred to as the Switch 2. Um, being basically fully backward compatible. It's gonna take your physical games and your downloadable library will also be transferable. Which, if this completely goes along with, I think it was the last set of rumors we read where they basically said like this is going to be more like when the Nintendo DS moved to the 3DS and the 3DS played DS games and I don't know if you could transfer your downloads there, but I think you could. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot like that, I think. I think this is a no-brainer.
I think I think you're right on with that. I think
You know
I
why it's a no brainer? This is what I texted Sean this week when I saw this rumor. Is there's a lot of games on the Nintendo Switch that if the Switch 2 is not reverse compatible, I'm just never going to play them because I'm going to move on to the Switch 2 and I'm not going to look back. But if the Switch 2 can also play them, I'm definitely going to download those games. Like, for example, like a couple of the Pokemon games I've mentioned I'm interested in. But if I can't get those on the Switch 2, I'm not going to juggle systems back and forth. I'm just going to move on and go forward. But if I can, then I'm going to download them on the Switch too. So magnify that by thousands and thousands of games. That's all the sales that they gain by keeping that library.
Right. Yeah. The possibilities are endless with this, and I mean, for me, if it's reverse compatible, my Switch OLED will be. I mean, I'll be selling my Switch OLED before the new system comes out because I typically like I don't hold on to systems. I typically don't look backwards when it comes. I typically will like I'll sell my system and then buy it again like 10 years later when it's cool again. I do things like that, you know.
Well, the other thing is, I bought a terabyte hard drive for my Switch when it first came out, and I've only filled a little bit over 500 gigs of it. So maybe half for Switch, half for Switch 2. We'll see. We'll see
Five
what their file
hundred.
sizes are like.
I'm surprised by that. Oh, I put but you play a lot of AAA games though. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know this.
yeah, like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, they're both on there. That's 30 gigs right there just for two games, I think. Or it might be more than 30. It might be like
Yeah,
close to 40 just
could
for
be
those
more.
two
Yeah.
games. Um but yeah, Mario Odyssey, Final Fantasy 12 is on there. Well, there's some other big ones, big files.
Yeah.
Uh well, I know Stardew Valley is not a big file. But anyway, you get the idea. Um So that is all the Switch news. Oh
But
no,
we
no. So
should.
yeah, you had this other part here. Go ahead.
Oh, but did we even mention where this came from? Where this whole
We
uh,
didn't. You can go ahead and read it. I
uh,
didn't read
uh,
any of
uh,
that.
oh okay so this is from the Universal Nintendo Pod, or no, it's from the the X do Central podcast. This is from a
It's from
uh,
Brazil.
Brazilian a Brazilian podcast, and and Kevin, did you have anyone in your family translate this for us? No,
No, I did
nope,
not.
nope.
Though
Okay,
someday I
I'll
am learning Portuguese because of all the
your
Brazilian
family.
in my life. So maybe someday I'll be listening to this podcast. Maybe I should start now, and that would be a good way to help me learn. But
Yeah, the immersion part of it. I do the same thing with I do the same thing with Thai. Um,
I think I
with
need a
things
little
that I
bit
like.
more in my lessons before I'm there. But I've got some basic sentences down that I can understand. Um,
Just listen to it and be like Mario,
yeah,
Zelda.
exactly. Um, but yeah. So anyway, that podcast dropped this rumor and also mentioned that there would be improvements to current titles. And you wrote this in the notes here, but it was my first thought as well. Is like, does that mean a $70 enhanced version that you buy, or does that mean it's like a setting that you can switch the frame rate, or what? Because I know the PlayStation 5 when that came out kind of had both options where some games you could pay like $10 and it would upgrade the game for you. Some games just updated automatically. Like I think Final Fantasy VII Remake, you could get the PlayStation 5 version for free, um, if you had the PlayStation 4 version.
God, that would be a
Um,
crazy day one. Could you imagine? Could
and
you imagine
yeah,
that day one? Yeah. Sorry. Keep going.
and and if that one wasn't, there were games that did that. I can't remember specifically if that game did that, but yeah. So some did it for free. It was like, hey, if you download it on your PS5, it upgrades it. Um, or is it like a whole new version? Like you said, is it like they're gonna sell the HD version now? Because I could totally see them doing that as well.
What do you think? What's your prediction?
I think it's going to be just like the PlayStation 5. I think there's going to be a little bit of all of it. I think there's going to be because I think it's also like different publishers are going to want to handle it different ways. So I think some of them will sell you. I think Nintendo with their first party titles, how will they handle it? Probably make you pay. I remember on the Nintendo Wii U, a lot of people probably forget this. You could pay $1 to re-download games you had already paid for on the eShop for the Wii. And it might be something similar there where like for $5 they update the version for you. I could see Nintendo doing that.
I I don't know because like at Gamescom, the example reported that they were showing off was Breath of the Wild, which
Yes.
could very well mean like the first game they're looking at developing in this HD or whatever it's going to be,
Which is funny
um,
because it's like
is Breath of the
at this
Wild.
point, I kind of want them to move on from Breath of the Wild, but I can see where they're in a tough spot where it's like, well, Breath of the Wild sold 30 million copies, so we kind of have to lean in this direction since it's what the people want.
Yeah,
But at the
but
same time, I'm like, I don't think those sales it necessarily indicate that that's what people want. I think it was just like something that was in the air at the time. Uh, and yeah, no, I'm rambling at this point, but I kind of want them to move past Breath of the Wild and give us whatever the next Zelda thing is. But if
I do too, but I just I want to know like I don't really want to buy that game again, but
yeah,
if you
especially since Tears of the Kingdom was kind of us already buying that game
yeah,
again.
yeah, but if you're giving me, if you're gonna give me an HD upgrade, and I'll just ignore the hypotheticals of am I paying more money or not. I mean, I could see a new console coming out, and for myself being like, okay, like here's the online service with some new games. Here's the new Mario Odyssey game. Here's some other launch titles I don't care about. Ooh, HD Breath of the Wild. Like I could just see myself like totally just here's a small reason to jump back into this game again, or at least take a look at it, look around, like doesn't it look cool? So my prediction is it's gonna be a little bit of everything. I mean, the rumors surrounding the amount of developers with dev kits working on software, whether it's new software or old software,
Oh,
is
that's
a
pretty much
lot.
like confirmed at this point. Like, because
Yeah,
I'm sure you saw the Arlo video where he talked about the recent developers conference where they were surveyed anonymously, and something like 250 of the developers that were surveyed anonymously mentioned that they were working on software for the next Nintendo console. So,
right.
and it was an anonymous survey, so they got no reason to lie.
Right.
So yeah.
It- right. So yeah, I totally think like some of those developers, I mean, of course, a lot of them have Switch software, and we're talking about software, and we're not talking about new software necessarily. Just
Mhm.
like, are we going to get patches to games? And the new Switch system really needs to be better about getting updates, just getting updates out, and sometimes getting updates out in in a good amount of time, because that's something that frustrates me too as well, like playing certain indie games on like Steam where it gets updated but then going over the Switch and it never gets updated. just I hope that it's all better. And, and,
Well,
and I'm rambling too at this point.
another thing they need to get better at is they need to get better at promoting the Switch Online service, because I've said this in a previous episode, but I'm in a lot of Nintendo groups. Every week I see somebody who clearly loves Nintendo because they're in a Nintendo group online, and they post questions like, is Super Mario World available on the Nintendo Switch, or like basic questions that they should know from being advertised this Switch Online service. I think a lot of people out there don't even know what it is. I think they see it and they're like, oh, so that's how you play online games or something. I don't know. So that's something they need to do. And speaking of Switch Online, I think we can segue into our spotlight game. What do you say?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So this week we played Shinobi Ninja 3 for the Sega Genesis, which it didn't have the subtitle listed, but it's Return of the Ninja Master. I don't know why that wasn't listed.
That's true.
It's like sometimes listed, sometimes not, but we're returning the Ninja Master.
It's on the wiki page.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Came out in July of 93 in Japan, came out in August of 93 in America. We had to wait a whole month, less than a month, actually. It was the 23rd and the 22nd here. um, so it's a game about a ninja named Joe. They could have picked a better ninja name for him, I think.
So you should probably, because I didn't know, you should probably tell listeners about how this game is released and then what happened after it
Oh,
was
you mean
released.
about how it was originally supposed to be released in 92?
Yeah.
Yeah, so even a few gaming magazines reported that it was coming out in 1992 because, it was the third part of a trilogy here. There was a fan base built. People were excited. And they showed pictures of levels and whatever they had developed up to that point, some enemies, some artwork, some moves that you'd have in the game. But Sega, I guess, was unhappy with the build and delayed it until 1993. And when it was finally released, many of the features that were previewed were not in the game, which, is common when you're previewing an early build of a game. But fans were obsessed with this to the point where now in modern day, you can get a ROM of the beta version of this game and play the one that was previewed, which I love when unreleased versions of games come out. Like Resident Evil is known for this type of thing. I still to this day want to play that Resident Evil 1.5, which
Mhm.
I'm sure you can. I just haven't. But if for those of you who don't know, they made it pretty much an entire game. I think they said it was like 90% complete for the sequel to Resident Evil, and then they scrapped it because they said it feels too much like the same game. And you can see screenshots of that online, but that was what was originally going to be Resident Evil 2. They started completely over, and then we got the Resident Evil 2 we got. Sounds like the same thing happened here with Shinobi 3.
Yeah, and again, like, I mean, +1 for the emulation video game preservation. It's just like, it's super cool that it can get put out into the world, and then people work on making an actual developed ROM of it. So it's online. You can play it. You can also look it up on YouTube and see it. It looks quite different than um, what actually was released. So pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, I just love whenever that. I love the what if scenario of that type of thing, of like, what if this was the version that was released. It's like, it's always fun to think of that stuff. But the game that we got is great. Like, for a 1993 release, this game looks amazing. It's got a lot of colors for a Sega Genesis game. Like, I feel like the Genesis wasn't capable of as many colors as the Super Nintendo. I might be wrong on that, but it's very colorful, very detailed backgrounds and foregrounds, and that's another thing that's got going for it. It's got backgrounds and foregrounds, which in '93 was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like if anyone listening has not seen it or played it, it's hard for us to kind of describe like the level of detail in some of these layers and backgrounds because I mean it's a lot. I mean,
To me,
talk,
it kind of looks like when like a TV show would make a fake video game, but in a good way. You know what I mean? Like you would watch those and be like, games don't. At least I remember doing this back in like the TGIF days. They would like Full House would throw on like a fake video game or something, and you'd be like, games don't look that good. This one does.
it, yeah. I mean, just talk about just risk taking and. I, I'd be interested in knowing, you know, Sega, you know, at this point, you know, what are they thinking? What are they trying to emphasize? Because it sure seems like they threw a lot of their budget into the artwork, into the boss animations, into the scenery, into the backgrounds, because they did a lot. I mean, we got surfing, we got horseback riding, um, I mean, we there's just a lot of things that are going on in this game. It looks it looks phenomenal. I mean, I think next to like I want to say like Musha or something, like this is perhaps the best looking Genesis game that we've played.
The
Um,
horseback riding really reminded me of the that Back to the Future Part 2 and 3 game. Like
yep.
it might even be the same animation. I don't know. Like the horse really but this one's actually playable. It's not throwing objects at you every half a second. Um this was like the golden age of ninja games too. Like I don't know why we moved away from this, but like you also had like the Ninja Gaiden series back then. You had like the Ninja Turtle games. You had like Shadow of the Ninja was one I remember. Just like the 8 and 16-bit era was full of ninja games.
Ninjas
Mystical Ninja.
yeah, ninjas and karate and martial arts um, was at least in our country was probably never more popular at
Yeah.
that point. Because I mean it seemed like at that point like 93 92 93 94 whatever it might be, it's like there's ninja movies coming out all the time. There's in every strip mall there's like karate, you know, it's just there was a lot. um do you do you have an opinion? Are you a Shinobi or Ninja Gaiden person?
I would say I'm more of a Ninja Gaiden person, and not even just because I'm a Nintendo fan. It's just, well, I guess maybe because I'm a Nintendo fan. I grew up way more with that series, so I have a lot of nostalgia for it. Whereas I wasn't a Sega house, so I didn't play the Shinobi games much growing up. But now that I'm playing this, I feel like I was missing out because I honestly feel like these are better than Ninja Gaiden. I don't have any nostalgia for them the way I do for Gaiden, but I feel like these might be better games.
Right. This is the part that I don't have an opinion on because according to the reviews that I could find, there's not a lot. There's just not a lot on the internet about this game. But a lot of people say that it's an upgrade from
It
the
felt a lot like an
control.
arcadey type game. Like if I could see this being played in an arcade.
Yeah, but apparent control upgrade from the second game. So I don't know. Like that's the part that I'm just like controls felt nice to me, but is it better? Uh
Well, while you're on the subject of the controls, that's like the one thing I would knock this game for. Is I said this for Kirby, so I have to be fair and say it for this game too. I hate when games make you double tap to run.
Yep.
Like there should always be a run button, or run should even be the default speed, and you hold something to go slower. um, but yeah, I hate when you double tap forward to run. It to me it kills the momentum. I don't know why my brain just can't adjust to that. It just can't.
Well, well, Nintendo, just grow up. Just give us the option of making the controls whatever we want. And then
Yeah,
if you're like, no man, like I'm like a, what would you call it? Uh I
purist.
only I'm a purist. Then fine, play the original controls,
I
but
don't know much about how games are programmed, but I do remember reading an interview with a programmer once that said, like, there's basically no reason that every game shouldn't have customizable controls. It would take almost no programming effort to give you an option to customize the controls. So
I'm
I don't know.
I mean, you get into the world of emulation, or like on my Steam Deck, I can make controls of any game I want, anything,
Yep.
it doesn't matter. And usually usually I don't, but every once in a while, like I program those back buttons, and yeah, like we have R1, R2. Like, there's no reason why we can't hold down the R2 button and run. Like, we have that option now. So Nintendo, you steal ROMs from other emulators. Like, you steal that stuff anyways. Like, just give us the option. Just get over it already. So this game,
Yeah, I mean,
the,
this
the,
game
the
definitely. I would recommend this to anyone who's got Switch Online. Put this game on. You will love it. Like it's got great, like we said, graphics. Great. The music is good, even though it does sound a little tinny. I say that about Sega Genesis. It does have a little bit of a tin can feel to it. Um, Tin can speaker. I don't know, but yeah, it's still great. The tunes are great. The boss battles are really cool too. Like there's that one where you're like
super cool.
fighting a computer simulation or something. Like it's they really go outside the normal traditional ninja tropes here.
Yeah, they just all look amazing. I'm trying to think of what that fifth boss was. It was like a robot. Brain monsters. I can't find it now. But anyways, I was just really impressed by everything they tried. We've talked a lot about how, like, I don't know if it all works. Like with Sega, like, and maybe having a lack of focus was a problem at some point, and then definitely later on. But like with this game, I liked it, so it works for me. Um, I forgot to rank it.
Oh,
I'm gonna do
okay.
that
Well,
now.
if you want to do that
Go
now, I'll
ahead.
go into my rankings. So this just shows how many great games we've played so far because this is a great game and it doesn't even crack my top 10. But I put it at number 13 on my list as of what we've done so far. And that's just a tribute to how many great games are available on Switch Online. Because, I mean, some of them, a lot of them are doubles right now. Because you've got Super Mario All Stars and Super Mario World and Super Mario Brothers 2 and Super Mario Brothers 3. That's a big part of my top 10 is all these Super Mario Brothers games because they're all basically the same thing. But yeah, so number 13 puts it right below the original Super Mario Brothers, which is pretty high praise, and puts it right above another Sega Genesis game, Musha, that shoot 'em up that we played.
Hmm.
So I think if somebody said to me right now, "Here's Musha, here's Shinobi, you have to play one. What you gonna play?" I'd probably play Shinobi. So it goes right above that.
For me, it's gonna go at 16.
Okay, still in the
I
teens.
can't trying to rate it. Shinobi Ninja 3. Okay. So you know, I the Game Boy Advance Super Mario games, I'm gonna have to just ignore. But yeah, I couldn't put this game above like Sin and Punishment, F Zero. I couldn't put it above like I couldn't put it like in the top 10, but top yeah, the teens is still really good. I mean, yes, out of the 47 games, most of these games are like ones you should play. I'll say. Um, I I missed last week. I put NES Mario Brothers at number 3 on my list, which was
Ooh.
quite higher than you and Sean. And I
Well, I only put it at number 12 because I think the All Stars version is far superior. So that I was another thing that determined my All Stars ranking so much higher. Um, so that's why that's my thought process anyway. Like I agree it's a great game, but I think All Stars made it better, so I ranked that part higher.
Yeah, I forgot about All Stars.
Okay,
So listeners, just forget about that last part. I'm thinking out loud here. Um, I I really like Mario Brothers, and there's nothing more on that game that we haven't already said or you didn't say last week. Uh, what are we
perfect.
playing next?
Yeah, let's crack open the old Nintendo randomizer and randomize some Nintendo. All right, this is a legendary game for a legendary podcast, and it matches up with your quest perfectly. So I hope this doesn't throw off what you've been doing.
Okay, it's a
But
Zelda game.
yep, it is Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you,
Okay.
Randomizer. A game that I could probably talk about completely right now doing zero research because I owned this growing up. This is a game where I just played the heck out of it. Obviously, love the remake, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot next week as well. Great game. So, I actually never had the DX version, though. I'm old school. I had the original non colorized version of this game.
This is great. I mean, we've knocked out the Mario's, and we haven't done the old Zeldas yet, but we're getting to it.
Well, this is a
Like
pretty old Zelda. I mean,
right,
it's what the
right.
fourth one? I always forget if it came out before or after A Link to the Past. It came out after A Link to the Past, so it's the
Came
fourth
out
one.
after Link to the Past. I consider it to be consider it to be the fourth one. Super excited about this one. I've only played the remake, so
Yeah, I think
uh,
I've told this story on the podcast before, but I'll tell it again anyway. My wife didn't really have a concept on like video game remakes, and I was super hyped for that one. And I got it day one, and I remember her watching me play the first like couple of minutes of the game, and she was like, "How do you know where to go?" And I was like, "Oh, I've actually beaten this game like a bunch of times. This is just like a prettier version of it." Like she didn't comprehend.
yeah. Now that I've played other Zelda, it's not near. I guess it's not nearly as difficult as the other ones, but I definitely to 100% that game I needed some help for sure. Um, just would have never found certain things, I guess. But we'll talk about that more next week.
Next week
Yeah.
on Nintendo Therapy. So write in if you have a different way you would rank Shinobi Ninja. If you played the first two and can speak to how much of an evolution this game was in the series. If you've got thoughts on what you want the Switch 2 to have, features we may have never even thought of. If you have thoughts on Princess Peach being the Nintendo Barbie franchise, I don't know. Write us whatever you want to write us. If it's Nintendo related, we will read it. Our email address is nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. We are on Threads is where I'm most active these days. I destroyed my Twitter algorithm and I don't want to go back. For some reason, it only shows me things that make me mad these days. So I'm not going back on Twitter. Nintendo Therapy on Threads, and we're also Nintendo Therapy on Reddit, which I say every week I need to do more. And hopefully, this is the week that I actually do it. Thank everybody for listening, and we will be back next week with some Zelda talk and hopefully a Nintendo Direct to talk about or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, that's another rumor we didn't talk about. Quick one on the way out the door. I saw something online today that said that we were supposed to get a Direct this week, but then Nintendo learned about the Microsoft presentation, so they pushed it. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll
Who
see.
knows? Yeah. And more about possible Microsoft games coming to Switch, but more on that next week.